and is registered as a nonprofit charitable organization. Let's see, sorry. I have a dialog box. Okay. All right. In the early years, we got some funding from the government in our operation. And since 2003 or 4, we have been self-operating on a self-finance basis. Over the years, Chatteris has placed over 1,000 young English-speaking tutors in over 100 primary, secondary, and post-secondary schools in Hong Kong. In the last 2 years, we are still placing 60 to 70 CNETs in schools each year. We significantly expanded our board of trustees around 2013, and we have a group of well-meaning and quite well-qualified volunteers working at the board level. And 4 years ago, we decided that it is more efficient and more effective with our expanding activities to organize ourselves into 3 committees, namely the Education Committee, the Finance and HR Committee, and also the Community Engagement Committee. In recent years, Chatteris we have been focusing more of our resources in supporting the schools with a higher percentage of underprivileged students. Embellishing our long history of an operation underscored by the quality of young English native speaking tutors, as well as an institutionalized program of enriched environment for students to speak English inside and outside of the classroom. We also have, as I was saying before, we also have focused a little more resources on schools with an underprivileged enrollment of students. And to this end, since 2016, we have been successful in obtaining funding and donation from several charity partners that helped us to place the tutors in several schools to this end. We continue to work with the schools through our close collaborative program with the schools, and which includes talking to the schools more often and listening to their needs and the needs of the students. And for the rest of the details, we can get more details from our Chatteris presentation, sorry. So finally, I would like to thank our professional development session speakers, Nicole and her team, and also our partner schools, Lions Club and Pok, which will share their experience with Chatteris with the participants today. Have a good session. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Sally.
Now I'd like to introduce you to our guest speakers, Miss Nicole from Hong Kong U, and also Maisie from Say Ying Secondary School, and also Michelle Kwong from Mary Locke Convent School Primary Session. A little bit about Nicole. She is the MA TESOL Program Director, Coordinator of Faculty English Language Proficiency Test for BA, BEd students, also the Senior Lecturer at Hong Kong U. It's very long. Nicole specializes in teaching and learning of English and also use of online technology in education. And she won multiple teaching awards in the past. So it's really grateful to have her and also her guests today with us. So now I'd like to pass the time to Nicole, Michelle, and also Maisie.
Thank you, Margaret, for the kind introduction. Let me now share my screen with you. Right, let's get ourselves started. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Margaret, once again for the very kind introduction. I'm delighted to be here today to share with you some of the insights I've gained over the past 3 years as I learned to teach online amid the pandemic, like every one of us here today. And I'd also like to share some of the reflections which I hope could guide us in making creative, strategic, and informed use of technology and e-learning tools to elevate students' learning experience. And as the title of our talk suggests, to maximize learner engagement in the English classroom. Together with me here today are 2 star teachers, Ms. Maisie Lee and Ms. Michelle Kong, both outstanding graduates from the Faculty of Education at the University of Hong Kong. Michelle and Maisie are recognized by their colleagues, by students, and also by us at HKU for their remarkable teaching skills and effective incorporation of e-learning into their everyday English classroom. They have brought along with them a range of practical, down-to-earth, and achievable learning tasks and teaching ideas and student work to illustrate to us how their ideas have worked to good effect in both primary and secondary classrooms. Maisie is now teaching at school, which is an all boys context, and Michelle is in all convent primary school, which is an all girls school. Yet some of the ideas that we'll be introducing to you have actually been tried out in coeducational, NCS, and also low banding settings that Maisie taught in before. Specifically, what we hope to be sharing with you would be what we consider to be key qualities of lessons, tasks, and activities, both in the physical classroom and in the online classroom, in promoting engagement and ultimately success in English learning with the affordances of technology. We hope that there'll be some of the ideas that we'll be sharing with you today that you can adapt and try out in your own classrooms. I'll be focusing specifically in a Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet environment, which we may most likely be put in during class suspension time, while Maisie and Michelle will be talking about ways of integrating e-learning into blended and flipped classrooms. To capture the gist of our talk today, we'll be using the acronym ENGAGEMENT. The 3 of us, we hold the belief that it all begins with how we get our students who may be academically, socially, emotionally, cognitively challenged in different ways to feel at ease in the classroom. And this would be when they are learning and when they are using English, be it in a face-to-face or virtual environment. Interestingly, some of the things that my students have been telling me make my own online lessons different would be my use of background music and sometimes just a soothing melody at the start of the session to calm their nerves and to ease them into the lesson. This is almost something that all of my colleagues who have visited my Zoom classes have picked up as an idea. So sometimes the simple use of a digital timer, like what you can see on the screen there, with music would already have the impact of reducing the pressure it gives our students while keeping them focused. Right, so a second method that I've discovered could put students at ease would be the use of virtual backgrounds in creative ways. In the brief clip that I'm about to play to you, the students have been invited to bring in an image that they'll use as their virtual background to describe the relationship they see between grammar and lexis for our first Mastery of Education language awareness class. And let's hear what the students tell us.
How about Louise?
Let's hear from Louise.
Okay, so the word I have chosen is called cupcakery. So I found the word quite interesting. It's about its formation process.
I chose puzzles because I think like different pieces of puzzles are like ideas and vocabulary that we have, but what can help us connect our ideas and word into a complete sentence.
And I find it very amusing and interesting because fantasy, if we just look at these two words, it doesn't mean anything, I guess. But if we put it into the sentence and also explain this with a picture, we just naturally relate it to the word fantasy.
I would say that the smile and the laughter of these students tell us a lot about what a fun and meaningful online activity means and is made possible by the simple function of the virtual platform if we thoughtfully think about how we could give our students a reason to communicate. Often I hear teachers complaining about students not switching on their cameras. To us, it really all depends on whether we give our students the need to do so. Designing a task like this inherently gets them to do so in an enjoyable way. And what I'm also going to show you in a bit would be some of the other things that I get my students to do to engage them, and at the same time, to create room, to create space, to create opportunities for different voices to be heard in different ways and at ease.
My grandfather passed away earlier this year, and this got me thinking more about young people and the difficulties they enjoy.
Okay, Catherine?
It got me thinking about young people, like why young people, not old people?
Are we convinced? I think, Diane, you were the second. You tried to be seated just like anything that you spotted?
Yes, why the young people enjoy difficulties?
Lesson objectives should be sharp. S-H-A-R-P. Lesson objectives should be sharp. Both of you have got up your thumbs up, but actually you have this. Why this?
Yes, lesson objectives should be sharp, but they also have to be specific. So even if they're sharp, it could be enable students to read. That's not specific.
3, 2, 1. Can I have a show of your fingers? You can hold your sheet up and hold it up in a steady way so we can all see it. Can I ask you to pull out your annotation bar? You can use any color, any symbol to circle, highlight, underline anything in worksheet 1 that you think might look problematic to you. Categorize, what do we mean by this?
I thought that, well, if you're talking about common mistakes, are we just focusing on language, or are we focusing more onto maybe other aspects like format or features, something that are missing inside the genre if we're talking about complaint?
All right, so you've just seen just some ways of getting students to feel at ease. First of all, expressing themselves non-verbally and then moving on to some verbal expression. Talking about the use of videos, an e-learning platform that we'd like to encourage you to explore would be Flipgrid, or Flip as it is now called. In one click, the students can do a recording and creatively design and personalize the clip using stickers, emojis, colors, and anything available online as resources. My students have used Flipgrid to do a 1-minute video over the summer for me, introducing themselves to their peers before their very first lesson, telling us one thing that makes them special. Then they had to find someone in class using the other videos who share similar interests or traits as they do to respond to on video. In a few weeks, this generated a total of 65 hours of discussion among the 54 students. Many actually told me how eager they were to come to the very first lesson to meet their peers for the first time, since they've been talking to them a lot virtually. This also serves the purpose of helping students feel at ease, getting them to identify one another as part of a learning community, giving them a sense of ownership also of the video that they could produce, demonstrating their uniqueness, and of course, motivating them to be using the language. One other strategy that I use to immerse my students in the English learning environment and also to give them a bit of novelty is something that you will be seeing in a short while. In this PGDE course that was held nearly all online at that time, I told my students to imagine that we'll be going on a virtual world tour together in our 20 sessions to come. We'll all be tour guides for one another, dreaming the impossible dream then of traveling together and taking each other to places that mean something to us. So you can see all their very unique and special backgrounds. As for me, I make a point of taking them to a different place each time as well, from Neuschwanstein, which you can see on the screen, in Germany in session 1, to Paris in session 2, to Pisa in Italy in session 3 before the break, and to Rome after the break. And in one session where I had a guest teacher from London, I had Elizabeth Tower as the background before the break and Buckingham Palace after the break. Once again, it just feels so good to see their eyes light up just with some novelty, some kind of a stimuli or something different that we bring into the classroom. Another strategy that I've been using to foster learner engagement is by promoting group dynamics, just with some novelty again, through some codes that I create for my students. I would start a lesson, either a face-to-face or a virtual one, by getting the students into teams of, say, 5, assigning them codes to unpack in their breakout rooms, and then tell them that the team that's the fastest in making a word using the 5 letters would own the true meaning of the word. Together, they make a word, and then their smart roles are announced, with the M being the manager, the A, the assistant manager, the S, the secretary, R, the reporter, and T, the timekeeper. And then with a little bit of a twist after the break, the students will be told that they'll be taking up different roles. This time, the secretary becomes the spokesperson, the assistant becomes the language ambassador, who is entrusted with the duty of giving everyone the opportunity to be speaking in English and encouraging them to, and the timekeeper, who assumes the role as the team leader. And in a subsequent lesson, the students are given a choice over the SMART roles and then told that they'll be taking up new responsibilities. So this is just to add a bit of fun to engage the students even further in class. The same would apply to giving students or giving each group a designated role using another Zoom functionality to name breakout rooms. Part of the pedagogic aim behind this is to inject some novelty into the lessons and to give every student a vital role to play, shared responsibilities enriching the team's collective goal. I've actually found the identification of roles important in a face-to-face lesson, but even more so in an online environment, especially to keep students engaged in breakout rooms and to facilitate meaningful and productive English language use. In a while, Maisie and Michelle will also be sharing with us their thoughtful ways of giving their students roles in different tasks. As teachers, we see our mission as one to engage each and every learner and to give them the chance to experience success in multiple ways. In order to do so, I try to ensure that no task is too difficult for any student. And I create a tab which you can see here in our online learning management system, Moodle, for them to see this as a space to tell me more about themselves, like their preferences, their likes, their worries, their learning difficulties. And this was particularly useful over the pandemic period when we didn't get to see our students. And these are the magic words. A couple of years ago, I came up with the idea of calling this space my whispers to Nicole. And since renaming the tab, I started receiving messages that tripled or even quadrupled. Students literally logged in anytime to tell me anything that they thought would be a secret that they wanted to tell. And why is this important? Just to give you an example of how this might have some implications, simply by knowing that a student like Ava lacks confidence in speaking, although her spoken English is already pretty good, can be very telling. And you'll see why in a bit. To engage the students, we actually also find it helpful to try to gamify our students' learning experiences, giving them some fun, some enjoyment in class. During my lessons, even at university, I use a variety of online name pickers and spinning wheels as a way to keep our students engaged. And here you see some interesting feedback from our students on how it motivates them to stay focused. And if you haven't tried out any of these random name pickers from the two sites that you can see on the screen, we would like to encourage you to have a look. There is such a broad range of such devices that you can choose a different one every day from these two websites. At the same time, and that is something which is very important, I'll be strategically selecting online platforms that welcome diversity and that would allow learners' voices to be heard in a variety of ways. And what do we mean by giving our students a voice? Let's say there are these 5 platforms that you can see on the screen that you may be familiar with, and they surely have their own merits. But if I were teaching a class of students with many, like Ava, who lack confidence in expressing themselves, who seldom volunteer to answer questions, I may consider not using Poll Everywhere and Mentimeter, as these students remain anonymous throughout, and I won't be able to find the best time, the best opportunity to invite them to speak. For Padlet, their names are shown only if they have created an account. And Michelle and Macy will show you how Padlet is very effectively used in their own classes. I would personally opt for Nearport and Desmus. But let's start with Nearport, bearing in mind we're looking at students like Ava. Because there is a functionality on Nearport that the teacher could hide students' names, which would make every student feel comfortable expressing themselves, typing, audio recording their ideas, and voting for the best posts. While the students are doing so, I would stop screen sharing if I were doing it online, have a look at who says what, and if I notice, for example, students like Ava and Priscilla, and maybe others, who are relatively shy and soft-spoken, but have been given quite a high number of votes, I would then be busy sending them private messages on Zoom, telling them how impressed I am by their shining ideas and encouraging them to tell me and to tell the class more about what's in their minds. From my experience, this usually works. And what I feel these students need is just a pat on the shoulder, some mental preparation, and some time. Desmus is another platform that I enjoy using a lot. Once again, it has the functionalities that I need to anonymize names if I need to encourage all students to feel comfortable participating, and to capitalize upon their strengths of students with multiple intelligences, as is illustrated on the screen. You will see that there are ones who are really to the point and who prefer writing to typing, which this platform allows them to. There would be others who are more verbal and keen on writing essay type answers, a third group who might be more visual or artistic, and some others who might be a combination of all these. And if you are teaching a class of largely kinesthetic, active learners, and more of the linguistically competent and interpersonal kind, we'd suggest you give Gather Town a try. It's a platform that allows you to create rooms for students to move about, to be working in different spaces, and to virtually meet and speak to different people who are in the same room or near one another. It's fun. I hear a lot from many of the teachers who have tried using it. And it's also one that creates more affordances for speaking activities. Michelle's students have used this platform for debating activities. So in brief, it's really our choice. It's our selection of the most appropriate platform and e-learning tool, our design of the right task and activity to suit the needs of our students in our own classes. And this is really something that genuinely advocates equity, equal opportunities for all students in an English lesson. I'd now like to invite Maisie and Michelle to share with us ways that they engage their students in the secondary and primary English lessons with their effective use of technology, and which I'm sure you will find very, very inspiring. So I'll pass it over to you, Maisie.
All right. Thank you, Nicole, for the introduction. So this is Maisie. So let me share my screen. All right, let's get started. So I'm gonna share several activities and ways I have used with my junior form and senior form students. So let's kick off with how to use technology to prepare students for SBA. So you might have given students a lot of background knowledge regarding the selected topic, but it turns out that your students do not apply what you provided to them. So maybe technology can help you guide the students to research and analyze and create content for SBA. So last year, I tried to integrate novel tasks into SBA preparation so students have a different and special experience. So I utilized virtual tools to prepare my students for SBA. So creating a virtual tool sounds complicated. However, it isn't. The platform that I used is ThinkLink, as you can see it here, and it is user-friendly. You can simply upload a map or floor plan onto the platform and then link it together with other media, such as image and video. And for the SBA preparation projects, the module concerns a social issue, and the topic is heritage preservation. So it is a more student-led project. Students will work in groups. So they take up roles as different staff members of a travel agency and also customers later on. So what they did is that they researched different heritage sites in Hong Kong, and then based on multiple factors such as location and time, they selected relevant heritage sites to be included in their one-day tour. So after they created the virtual tour, one day during the lessons, they would set up booths in the classroom and then to promote their tours. So students would take turns to be customer and travel agencies. And then I gave the monopoly money to the students who would take up the roles as customers. So they could use the monopoly money they have to buy the tours that they like the most. So the group that earns the most win. My students really enjoy the activity. So even the students who are usually more reticent, more passive, they try hard to persuade the customers to join their tours. And then some of them even manage to get tips from the customers. So therefore, I think it is an engaging activity that engage all the students. Right. And there are also other surprising outcomes. For example, when I introduced the platform ThinkLink to students, I didn't know that we could incorporate 360 images. So when the students work on their virtual tour research and discovered more functions on how to make the virtual tour more attractive. So now let me show you one example. All right. Here it is. So as you can see, yeah, there are 4 heritage sites here for the day tour. So let's take a look at the first stop, which is the example reservoir. So by clicking this, it will lead you to, yes, the place. And then you can hear there are more information. And then by clicking this one, it will lead you to the 360 indoor area, like that. So the students also explained to me that they think with these 360 images, it would attract the customers to buy their tour. That's why they made it like that. And then another surprising outcome was that one group then took the initiative to design the itinerary like this, because they think that, oh, in real life, usually customer will receive an itinerary when they visit a travel agency. So these examples shows that my students really took ownership of their work. And I know some teachers may have some questions in mind. You may think that, oh, the teaching and learning schedule of senior form is so packed already. There's no time for us to carry out such activities. Actually, from my experience, it doesn't really take up a lot of time. It took me 3 lessons to do it. And because students did most of the work outside the classroom. And most importantly is that it is worthwhile to do it because it allows students to progress from rote learning of selected materials to develop their capacity for learning, researching, creating, connecting, and applying the knowledge proactively and purposely in a more authentic context. Sorry. And then how about for junior secondary students? I also use virtual tour. So for this one, for example, for reading lessons, I made a virtual tour about Macau trip. So as the topic is postcard, right? So students would read a postcard about visiting Macau. While they read, they also went on a virtual tour. So this is a student-paced reading activity because it allows students to read at different speeds. So they can explore the tour by themselves without getting pressure from their peers. And students will also encounter images, text, and videos along the way. So in this way, it is multi-sensory learning that caters to learner diversity. And after the reading lessons, there was a post-reading task, which is a writing task. So students brainstormed and discussed ideas on Padlet. As you can see here, one example here is a student's idea, and then their peers all comment here like that. So I would say using Padlet allows students to share their work and idea, give feedback, and explore collaboratively, not only at school, but also at home. So moving on. So let me share what I have recently done with my S3 students. So as I'm teaching at a boys' school, so most of them are interested in science and technology. So I gave them, when I gave them writing tasks, I attempted to cater to their interests as well. So one of the topic is that in order to join an innovation competition, they have to submit a letter of proposal. So they have to describe the problem and explain the design of their innovation and how you can tackle the problem. And then after the writing task, there's a post-writing activity. So this activity corresponds to the acronym mentioned by Nicole. Ease, as students feel comfortable working in a topic that they're interested in. And then the post-writing activity involving technology is different from traditional one, which students have to copy the whole writing and then correct all the mistake. So this is novelty. Oh, sorry, yes. And also students are given choices, as you can see here, for the post-writing activities. They enter the semi-final of the competition, and then in order to compete for the championship, their groups would create an advertisement for their innovation. So the advertisement can be in various formats such as video, song, poster. So by giving students choices, they will also be more engaged and willing to do their work. So now let me show you one advertisement created by one of the group. So let me share the screen here.
They sleep in the dust, but we live without trust. Dust cleaner, the best cleaner ever. With a stylish look and a great color matching. 3.0 chips filter system, which can filter more than 99% of dust. Make your home fresh and clean. Besides using it as a dust cleaner, it can also be a fan. Having a powerful motor with a big 3500 mAh battery and a smaller sound. One machine, two uses. What are you waiting for? Come and buy. Desk cleaner.
All right. So I would say students really enjoy doing this post-writing activity. Yeah, so some of them, they told me that, oh, they had Zoom meetings at home to talk about how to create their advertisement. And then some of them asked me to reserve a room for them after school to shoot videos. Yeah, and then next, let's talk about this one. So we all know that students like to play games. So gamification technology also redefines the traditional learning task in a way that could not be possible without technology. So, and this would create a novel experience for students as well. So I've been using quizzes, games with my students. This e-learning platform is user-friendly because there are different types, different question types. You can even insert images and the students can draw to answer some questions as well. Right. So it also has some game features such as colorful interface, avatar, and music. So these multi-sensory features also suit the needs of different types of learners. And another function that I like is that quizzes has different game modes. So for example, the live game can be conducted during lessons. So it is student paced because each student would receive different random questions set by me, and then students can answer the questions at their own pace. So the leaderboard will also be shown on teacher's screen to spice up the atmosphere. In addition, there are also different power-ups, as you can see here. For example, if students choose eraser, then one wrong option will be erased. Yeah. So as you can see on the left-hand side here, this is the analysis of my class. So you can see the whole class have shown progress on their results. So the accuracy rate of the whole class has increased from 47% to 70%. Yeah, from Unit 1 to Unit 3. Right. And I would say technology also facilitates the process of collecting students' feedback. I think it is very important for us to value students' voice, and that contribute to equity. So from the evaluation Google form that I asked them to do, as you can see, 90% of them consider quizzes game have helped them extensively with their studies, and all of them prefer quizzes game as assessment more than pen and paper assessment. And I'll also take a look at students' favorite features to note like their interest so that I can adjust my lesson plan and also my teaching strategies later on. And then for quizzes, I also use after school asynchronous game. So students can attempt the quizzes game at home as many times as they want. So one surprising outcome was that I didn't expect the students would try so hard so many times in order to get a better grade. As you can see here, these students attempted the task for 11 times to get to the 4th place. So the students' willingness to try to really impressed me a lot. And this shows that students' learning motivation is higher than before. So in a nutshell, the right use of technology increases students' self-accuracy, and then the learning effectiveness is thus enhanced. So Michelle, I know that as a primary school student, you also integrate technology to transform students' learning experience. So could you share with us as well?
Sure, thank you, Macy, for her sharing about the use of technology in a secondary school context. Actually, for primary, there are several common platforms we also use, like quizzes and Padlets. For our P1 students, they are assigned a quizzes game after each unit so that they can learn more English vocabulary related to the topic. It helps boost their self-learning skills, and most importantly, they enjoyed it. And many of them actually even played multiple times in order to score perfectly. Now let me share screen. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle from Maryknoll Convent School Primary Section. Today, I'd like to share with you my experience incorporating e-learning in my primary classrooms. In these 2 years of the pandemic, I believe you have all heard of many guiding principles or framework about e-learning, like the SEMR model with 4 levels, the TPACK model, the 5E model, or Bloom's taxonomy again, and of course, many others. Though they all have different terminologies, they have one common goal. With the use of e-learning tools, we all aim to elevate the teaching and learning experience. As 21st century teachers, we have some common traits. Let's see whether you have them. First, our teaching becomes more student-centered. Instead of knowledge transfer, we guide students in discussions and let them learn through different media. We want our students to be actively engaged by maximizing classroom time. We design interactive activities for them to learn by doing it. Third, we want to cultivate students to become successful citizens of the future. We are forward-looking. Besides, we become more social. With technology, we showcase our students' learning, help them build their PLN, which stands for Personal Learning Network, as well as communicate with their parents and the community. With all the things in mind, today, I would like to share with you two of my unit designs. One for my P3 students and the other for my P5 students. The units were done in a blended learning environment where students were having both online and face-to-face lessons, just like these days when some classes might go online from time to time. First of all, my P3 unit. It is a unit about the environment. Like many of you here, I started off with the reading of a storybook. The book is about water pollution and how Samantha, the main character of the book, found out the causes of water pollution in her neighborhood and how she encouraged her neighbors to work together to solve the problem. As an extension, we want our students to know about different types of pollution, not just water pollution. So before the lesson, I divided the class into 5 groups, each group working on a different type of pollution. Students had to make a post on Padlet after reading or watching from an online source. Although it looks like I sorted them by their class numbers, I actually took into consideration their different levels of ability without letting them know. Based on the problems that they had found about different kinds of pollution, during the online lesson time, students were put in expert groups and then in jigsaw groups to discuss a major question. What can we do to solve the problem? And how can we reduce pollution? In expert groups, students can exchange their ideas within the similar topic, while in jigsaw groups, they were to present each type of pollution and present their solutions to their teammates. After their discussions in the breakout rooms, there was a leader from each group who would report in front of the whole class what her group had discussed. I would like to play you the video today. Let me share the sound. As you can see from the video, using the annotation function of Zoom can help students who are more visual to catch up with the ideas mentioned by their classmates, and also brushing up and integrating various soft skills as shown in the yellow boxes in the slides previously seen. Another unit was a P5 unit where the students are expected to produce a travel leaflet of Hong Kong in groups. Students had a choice to choose and write about different tourist attractions. Some groups chose to select a few popular spots, while some groups focus on a particular attraction, like Lemma Island. Before the writing, I had prepared each group a Google Slides document to facilitate their discussions. As students were sent to breakout rooms, we teachers may not be able to help with all the groups in class at the same time. So with Google Slides, we're able to keep track of their progress even after the lesson. Before the discussion, I asked all the students to put their names under different roles, as you can see in this slide, and I reminded them the content of the leaflets should be compromised among all the group members, but not restricted to a particular person or the role allocation here. That means everybody should contribute and discuss what to put in the leaflet. I like Google Slides as we teachers can communicate and give feedback to guide students throughout the process even after the lesson. Students can read your comments and try to improve their draft. So this is the version after they have improved their draft. After doing the draft, we moved on to the stages for publishing as well as presenting. My students used Canva to make their leaflet as it is easy for them and the templates are ready to use. After making the leaflets, we did a face-to-face presentation. Some groups decided to have all their members presenting the leaflets, while some sent representatives to present. During this time, the audience should also be assigned some roles for better participation. For me, I asked them to complete a 2 stars and a wish form and vote for the best leaflet. All in all, to become successful educators in the 21st century, understanding that we're not the sole source of knowledge, we should teach students the way to learn and to develop their love of learning. Having the right attitude to learn is equally important. Secondly, try to engage your students as much as possible. In this way, they take ownership of their learning. Lastly, one size does not fit all. Choose the most appropriate e-learning platforms which suit the needs of your students as well as the purpose of your tasks. The more you try, the better you will become. That's the end of my sharing today. Thank you. Let me now pass the time back to Nicole.
Thank you very much, Michelle and Maisie, all very great ideas. Let me now just wrap up our sharing for today by highlighting a few things that we thought as a team we would like to stress. I think we'd like to say, just to echo what Michelle has just mentioned, it's really, really important to ensure that we are making the best choice, making the most informed, the most pedagogically sound choice of technological use that caters specifically for the needs, ability, learning styles, preferences of our students, that every student is given a voice in the learning process, and that every voice is valued, that meaningful choices are at the same time given to them, as you have seen in the examples that Michelle and Maisie illustrated to us, and ensuring that no student is left out or no student is left behind. And as we would contend, it's really not just technology that does the job on its own, but our awareness as teachers of the affordances of technology, the functionalities of the tools we select, and how we utilize these tools with the functionalities to optimize pedagogic purposes, and how we retool these different resources alongside well-designed tasks and activities, as you have observed once again in Maisie's and Michelle's shining lessons, for the maximum engagement of all students in English use, and also for all students to excel and shine in their own ways. So on this note, I think we will bring our sharing to a close. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole, Michelle, and also Maisie, for giving us various creative ideas on how to giving the students the voices and make sure every students are heard and involved in the lessons. Thank you so much. Now I like to move on to the next thing in our presentation. I would like to share my screen again. Okay. So next we'll introduce you to the Chatteris program, and here is the outline of what we will be presenting. So our CEO, Ben Whitman, will start off the presentation.
Thank you very, very much, Margaret. And thanks very much to Nicole, Macy, and Michelle for such an insightful PD session. With the resumption of normality in terms of face-to-face teaching becoming more prevalent now, I'm often asking our partner schools what resources or approaches or practices from such an extensive period of online learning will now be used to enhance our return to more traditional face-to-face teaching. And I really hope that this session has provided some areas for consideration. For example, it was lovely to hear from Nicole about the use of Flipgrid. We've currently got a tutor in one of our local schools who's actually using Flipgrid to create a video pen pal system with a UK school. And you've got students every week sharing what their school environment is like with UK school students and what they eat and things like that. And it's an incredible opportunity to maybe carefully consider how some of these experiences can enhance our teaching and student learning. It was also really nice in Nicole's presentation to spot just a small square containing Dr. Gary Harfett in one of the videos. Gary has recently become a Chatteris board member, and he is also the current principal of Good Hope Schools. So we're very privileged to have Gary on board. So my name is Ben Wheatman, the Chief Executive Officer of the Chatteris Educational Foundation, and I'd like to share with you how we impact students and how we inspire them to become more confident and proficient in using English. Chatteris is a registered non-profit charitable organisation, and we were founded in 1990, and we exist to raise the English proficiency and the self-confidence of Hong Kong's young people, particularly those from less privileged backgrounds. When we conduct reviews with our current partner schools, we ask them why they chose to work with Chatteris, and these are some of the main reasons. Within the classroom, schools explain to us that the average class size in Hong Kong is very large, so it's difficult to really maximize student talk time in English. This large class size also means that it's difficult for teachers to cater to individual students and their specific needs. Furthermore, busy teachers might report that they don't have as much time as they'd like to develop language activities that students do within the classroom. And outside of the classroom, schools tell us that students really don't speak English at all. They lack the opportunity to use the language in a communicative, fun, and purposeful way. And they also tell us that students just don't have many opportunities for cultural exchange.
Hi everyone, my name is Mariana and I'm the English Program Executive at Chatteris. Our solution to overcome the challenges that Ben just mentioned is the Chatteris English Development Program for Schools, which aims to create an engaging English language environment at your school inside and outside the classroom. The program involves the placement of a Chatteris native-speaking English tutor full-time in your school for 1 academic year from September to May. Our tutors are young and enthusiastic language models for students. Inside the classroom, they support students and local teachers, and outside the classroom, they run interesting and engaging English language activities. And all this occurs to enhance student motivation, confidence, creativity, and proficiency in English, as well as provide them with valuable opportunities for cultural exchange. As a charity, we are proud this year to place 60 English tutors working across 30 schools, impacting more than 25,000 students. And we have been able to successfully deliver this for over 30 years due to the high quality of our tutors and our dedicated management support. In this talk, we will provide more information about how the program can impact your school.
Hi everyone, my name is Zach and I'm one of the program managers on the secondary program here at Chatteris. I'm going to speak to you a little bit more about our tutors. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how our program works in practice, and I'd like to begin by speaking about the qualities of Chatteris tutors. Our English tutors are proactive, energetic and positive role models for your students, and they are all recent university graduates who have studied in a variety of disciplines and come from a wide range of countries and cultural backgrounds. There's only one key distinguishing feature that we look for when recruiting tutors, and that is that they are passionate and committed to helping students in Hong Kong. So let's take a look at the Chatteris tutor role inside the classroom. Inside the classroom, our tutors can co-teach with local teaching staff and are also able to deliver small group lessons independently. This increases the educated student ratio in the classroom, allowing more student talk time in English and granting more opportunities to cater to learner diversity as well. Furthermore, our partner schools have reported that another key benefit of the program is the creative, authentic, and communicative ideas and activities that our tutors add to the school curriculum. This was most recently noted in the wide range of digital teaching and learning resources created by our staff, going back to the theme of our PD today. So here are some of the examples of the digital resources which can be utilized by partner schools at no cost. Included are virtual English clubs, engaging self-directed English activity platforms, and conversation and discussion blended learning courses for secondary school students. So let's also take a look at the role of a Chatteris tutor and what that can look like outside of the classroom. So our tutors are equally committed to supporting students outside of lessons, and this can occur during recess, lunch, and after school, when tutors create a language-rich environment by engaging students in a wide variety of events and activities. These creative, informal English experiences cater to student interests, enhance their motivation to use the language, and help to develop their intercultural competence. The activities vary from chatting to students during recess to more structured programs as shown on the screen here, such as English ambassador team training, cultural fun fairs, drama clubs, and even English fun days.
Hi everyone, I'm Carrie and I'm one of the primary program managers here at Chatteris. And I would like to talk a little bit about the role of Chatteris tutors beyond the classroom and schools. So Chatteris is not a tutor recruitment agency, rather tutors are equally committed to supporting students outside the classroom as much as they are inside the classroom. And this occurs in lots of ways, as just mentioned. Sorry, I think I'm speaking over you that. But we are equally committed to supporting our students in lots of different ways. So we create informal experiences to cater to students, as you can see here. And we offer our partnership, including support for Our partnership means we offer support for your school and students, such as manpower for events, professional development workshops for teaching staff, and pre-created educational programs for your students, as well as access to a bank of digital and physical resources for your school. We also run numerous experiential life-wide learning programs that your students can take part in, such as English events that happen throughout the academic year, such as English Week, fun fair booths, and other activities that have previously mentioned. We also offer pre-created programs such as field trips, mock interviews, and inter-school collaborations, such as practice speaking lessons. When you partner with Chatteris, you are partnering with us as an active partner. And that means that you will get access to our connections with a range of educational support and partners around Hong Kong. We have connections with a wide range of different organisations, and they want to collaborate with us to put on unique experiential learning opportunities for our students. Our programme of inspirational events is very well established and includes internships, guest talks at school assemblies, as well as office visits for students. We have strong relationships with companies that are similarly dedicated to students, such as Morgan Stanley, LinkedIn, and Outward Bound, amongst others that you can see on your screen.
And the quality of our English tutors and our strict quality assurance is why our current primary and secondary partner schools have worked with us on average for 7 years. Our management team will collaborate with you to ensure that the program we deliver is tailored to your needs and offers the greatest possible impact to your students. This includes setup and program design meetings at the start of the year, interim and end of year review meetings, as well as regular communication throughout the school year. Our program manager assigned to your school will also visit your school at least once a month to observe your tutor and provide developmental feedback to make sure your expectations and goals are being met. When it comes to our English tutors, we maintain the high quality through a rigorous recruitment process. We take care of all administrative requirements, including police, medical, and qualification checks, as well as visa sponsorship. And then all of our tutors also attend a 3-week orientation prior to placement in your school to make sure they're all well equipped to work alongside Hong Kong students. As well as this, all tutors receive ongoing professional development and support throughout the year, including monthly workshops and on-site training. Our service to partner schools is made possible by a well-qualified and committed executive management team with experience both internationally and in Hong Kong, coming from backgrounds in education, educational technology, and teaching English as a foreign language, as well as a dedicated team of full-time Chatteris program managers who support your English tutor and school throughout the year. One program manager never supports more than 9 schools, so they're always available to assist you. We also have a member of staff with experience in resource development and design. So if you need any help with Canva and train your teachers or students how to use Canva, we have Queenie who is available to assist you. And we have a member of staff with experience in fundraising and development, which allows us to operate a variety of free services for less privileged students in schools, as well as a well-experienced back office team. And Chatteris is supported and guided by an incredibly experienced board of trustees with backgrounds in education, finance, and HR.
Thank you very much, Mariana. I'd like to provide a case study that demonstrates our commitment to increasing the English proficiency of all students in Hong Kong. In 2015, we started something called the One-for-One Adopt a School project, which specifically targets and supports schools with a high proportion of less privileged students. Under the project, the school funds a single Chatteris English tutor. Then we undertake fundraising and promotion for the school to match it with a generous sponsor who funds a second full-time tutor in the same school, completely free of cost to the school. So in essence, it's buy one, get one free. With a partnership of 2 tutors, students' language and cultural exposure are substantially increased, as well as their students at One-for-One schools gain access to numerous other social, cultural, and professional opportunities supported by their sponsor. This year, we have 6 One-for-One schools and have been lucky enough to impact over 10,000 student beneficiaries so far. We do hope to expand this project next year, and we're currently in advanced negotiations with funders to secure places for new partner schools next year. So if your school has a high proportion of disadvantaged students, such as students on textbook allowance, special educational needs students, or newly arrived children from mainland China, we'd be really interested in speaking with you to see if you could be a potential partner. If you're interested in One-for-One, please do fill in the form that's going to be sent to you at the end of this session, because we might be in a situation where we are able to potentially pick some new schools as early as February of next year. Overall, we're committed to fulfilling our vision of empowering Hong Kong students with enhanced English proficiency and intercultural understanding, enabling them to succeed in an increasingly globalized world. We're really very proud that 100% of our school partners rated good or very good in regards to the support provided by Chatteris, as well as 100% of our school partners rating that the program had positively impacted their students' motivation and interest in English and really helped students' confidence in speaking English. Finally, when we conduct small focus groups with students who see our tutors over a period of maybe 6 or 7 small group sessions, over 70% of the students in these focus groups demonstrate improved communicative English skills.
Okay. Chatteris also offers additional opportunities collaborating with school besides having a full-time English tutor at your school. And this year, we're offering both primary and secondary schools leadership camps that enable students to have fun interacting with our English tutors. Some schools may choose to have a combination of leadership, drama, or funfair activities. If you're interested in the leadership camp, you can email or call us after this session. So to wrap things up, why choosing Chatteris? We are a registered nonprofit charitable organization, meaning all the surplus income that we got, if any, goes forward to our program development and also the service to less privileged young students or young teenagers. Our English tutors are motivated and matched to the best impact your students inside and outside the classroom. We have a strong quality assurance component to our program, supported by a team of experienced management staff who can also offer additional manpower and service to your school. We're well placed to help schools and students in areas of digital and also physical resources, creation, and staff professional development. We also take the responsibility of the administrative requirements for hiring and onboarding these young English tutors, often challenging aspects of hiring a tutor, including visa sponsorship, medical checks, and other supports. We also have a program where we could provide additional free funded English tutor in your school if your school meets our requirement under our 1-for-1 Adopt a School program, as our Chief Executive Officer, Ben, presented earlier in his case study. So what happens if you are interested? Here are the next steps and the timeline for applying to the Chatteris program. If your school is interested, the first step is to set up a consultation meeting with us anytime now until the end of March. You can email us to book a time. Then our executive team members will come to your school to meet you at your school to try to get to know more about your needs and discuss how we can make the greatest impact on your students. If both parties, Chatteris and the school, feel that the program will be valuable to implement within your school, please submit your application, which we will send you later. And the application will give Chatteris further information and details for the year ahead. So the application to our program is open now till the end of April. And this should occur before your school begins any tender process if your school has one. And Chatteris is happy to undertake your tender requirement. If your school has a different tender timeline, do let us know. If your school has no tender process, we'll start to confirm the deployment of our tutors at your school and the program decide from March onwards.